Alright, you guys have already read the title. This right here is the all-new POCO X5 Pro. And I decided to compare it with its, well, probably the best straight-up competitor in the form of the Realme 10 Pro Plus. Now, POCO really surprised us all with the pricing of the X5 Pro, which kind of makes it one of the best phones under Rs 25,000. But we also have the Realme 10 Pro Plus, which at least starts at Rs 25,000. So which of these devices should you go for? Well, that's what we'll be talking about in this video. This is Warren from GTR and you're watching my in-depth comparison of these two devices. So let's just get started. Alright, now right off the bat, let's start by talking about the design here. Now they both look flashy and attractive in their own ways. Of course, Realme has a shiny, glimmery design with a nice camera module over here that looks very attractive, but also quite loud. Now, speaking of loud, of course, you can't deny POCO's yellow tone is obviously going to attract a lot of attention to your device. And I have to say that the yellow tone here is a lot more refined and more polished as compared to most of their previous editions. Now, I personally still like the design of the POCO X4 Pro, but even so, it's not to say that I don't like the design here. That being said, the in-hand feel of both the devices when compared against one another, I think Realme has the edge here. And I mean that in more ways than one, because of course you have a curved edge here as compared to the more of a boxy design on the POCO X5 Pro, which really makes for a better grip on the Realme device. And I mean, on paper, the weight difference between both the devices is not a lot, but in hand, the Realme feels a lot more lighter as compared to the POCO. Now, in terms of connectivity, the POCO X5 Pro comes with a dual SIM card slot and coupled with an IR blaster and a 3.5 headphone jack. On the other hand, Realme has just a dual SIM card slot and there's no additional attachments or connectivity options. POCO also comes with Gorilla Glass 5 protection up front, along with IP53 dust and splash resistant. Now, in the case of Realme, there's no official IP rating and there's no display protection either. That being said, Realme still has a couple of things in its favor too. Starting off with the haptics. I mean, the haptic motor on the POCO, as good as it is, it's a little bit on the stronger side, but it's not refined as much. I mean, it feels less like your average motor, just with a pinch of stronger vibration. On the other hand, the haptic feedback on the Realme 10 Pro Plus is amazing. I mean, it's one of the best in its price segment. If you're just going to spend a bit more, sure, the Pixel 6a or the Nothing Phone 1 have a good haptic feedback. But I mean, individually, the Realme 10 Pro Plus has an amazing haptic feedback here. Add to that, while both the devices come with support for face unlock and fingerprint scanners, the POCO X5 Pro makes use of a physical fingerprint scanner on the side button, whereas on the Realme 10 Pro Plus, you get an in-display fingerprint scanner. Now, speaking of in-display, let's just talk about the displays themselves. Now, the POCO X5 Pro comes with a 6.67-inch 120Hz AMOLED HDR10 Plus flat display, while the Realme 10 Pro Plus comes with a 6.7-inch 120Hz AMOLED HDR10 Plus curved display. Now, when it comes to HDR certification, POCO obviously supports HDR10 HEVC along with Dolby Vision. Yes, the panel here is certified for Dolby Vision as well. On the other hand, we have the Realme 10 Pro Plus, which, technically supports HDR10, but at least in our testing, that was not to be shown here. Now, Realme has said that consumers will not be facing these issues on their retail units. I'm still waiting for end consumer to confirm it to me. So if you have already, like in case you're someone who's already bought the 10 Pro Plus and you're a viewer, please let me know down there if your device actually supports HDR content inside Netflix, because I mean, our review units, like not just ours, but everyone in the tech media, the review units don't support it. Also, aiding the display department are the speakers. Now, while both of them have stereo speakers on offer, there are slight differences on each of them. Now, Realme's speakers are a bit louder thanks to its ultra volume mode that basically pushes the volume to 200%. However, even at 100%, the quality is missing when you compare it with the stereo output of the POCO X5 Pro. See, don't get me wrong, the speakers on the Realme are very nice, and for most users, you won't really find them to be a shortcoming or something. It's just when you compare it with the POCO X5 Pro, you see that yes, the POCO X5 Pro has a much more clearer and a richer audio feedback. Now coming back to the displays, on paper, there's not a lot of difference in terms of the peak brightness of both the panels. That being said, in our testing, I did see Poco's display to be a bit brighter and better to use under direct sunlight. So there's that factor as well. Alright, next up, let's talk about these cameras. On paper, they are practically the same cameras, but there is one slight difference, or actually two slight differences. First up, the common parts. Both the devices come with a 108MP primary sensor coupled with an 8MP ultra-wide sensor and a 2MP macro sensor. Up front, they both have the same 16MP selfie shooters. Now the differences here lie in the sensor and the ISP. So of course, when I talk about the sensor, the Realme 10 Pro Plus makes use of the newer Samsung HM6 sensor, while the Poco makes use of the older Samsung HM2 sensor. And of course, there's a difference in ISP as well. While I'll talk more about the processors in the performance segment, just note that this one uses a Snapdragon ISP, while this one uses a MediaTek ISP. But trust me when I say, just forget whatever you know about those ISPs or whatever pre-assumptions you have about a certain ISP, because the end results here matter more about how each company likes to analyze shots and process them. Like Poco is known for over sharpening, and that is something that you'll see in the results, and Realme is known for HDR results, which is something you kind of see. So speaking of them, let's just dig into the camera samples. Starting off the daylight shots, both the cameras click vibrant shots with good details. Now Realme is slightly closer to reality, while Poco adds a bit more saturation. Moving on to HDR shots, Poco definitely has darker shadows here. On the upside, Realme can uplift the shadows. Once again, Poco also adds a lot of saturation, especially in the blues. With that being said, in tough lighting conditions, it's actually Poco that has more consistent results. See, the thing is that Realme has varying results, which kind of makes this a unreliable camera. I mean, at least with the POCO X5 Pro, you know what kind of a shot you can expect out of this even before clicking a shot. Moving on to human shots and portrait, as you can see on your screen, POCO has highlighted the face better, while Realme has darkened the skin tones. That being said, both the shots have very good details. Also in portrait mode, the edge detection is on point on both the devices, so that's good. Switching to the ultra-wide sensor, Poco's field of view is definitely a little bit wider, but honestly, that's about it. Other than that, both the shots are pretty similar. Now we are talking about the details, so let's just talk about the in-depth 108MP modes. Now the shots are on your screen, and from a normal perspective, they both look very similar. However, of course, the whole idea of 100MP shots is to zoom in. So when you zoom into the subjects, you'll notice that Poco definitely has more details. Now, of course, this is due to the Xiaomi, Redmi over-sharpening techniques that we've seen over years, and the same is the case with the POCO X5 Pro. Thankfully, it does work in its favor. Switching over to selfies, Poco likes to highlight the face a bit more, but the shot looks very unrealistic as a result. It also has a lot of over-sharpening here. In comparison, selfies are better on Realme, especially with a better contrast too. Switching to the portrait mode, edge detection is decent-ish on both, but let's be honest, both the phones lack HDR processing. Lastly, we have low light shots, and as you can see, Realme definitely has better details and slightly better illumination too. I mean, as far as I am concerned, Realme is better when it comes to low light performance. Moving on, let's just take a look at the video performance. But before you do that, I just want to highlight one thing. You don't have to take our word for these camera samples. There's actually a direct download link to both the camera samples from each of the devices. You can easily download and analyze the images for your own perspective and for your own needs as well. Alright, so I'm recording 4K 30fps footage from the Realme 10 Pro Plus, which is on my left, and the POCO X5 Pro, which is on the right side. Now, at the time of recording, I'm already noticing a lot of shakiness and frame drops on the Realme phone, while POCO's footage seems to be a tad bit better. Of course, while panning the camera around, both the devices have a bit of frame drops. But then again, this is something that we've noticed happening in these segment devices quite a lot at the time of recording. The processed videos should look fine. So let me know down there in the comments below which kind of footage you feel looks better. Alright, so now I'm recording 30fps footage from the Realme 10 Pro Plus, which is on my left, and the POCO X5 Pro, which is on my right side. Now, I'll just pan the camera around with the sun on my face, like directly on my face. I think Poco's colors look to be a bit better, more natural, while Redmi is adding a tint of reddishness on my face.
Also, one more thing, like not just one, actually there are a couple of things I wanted to highlight here. First off, Poco's frame is a lot more cropped in as compared to Realme's. Now, keep in mind that this is the default mode. Realme does offer a stabilization mode as well for the selfie footage, which basically uses EIS to crop into the frame a bit more. Other than that, one advantage that Poco has is that you can record selfie videos in 60 FPS as well, while Realme is limited just to 30 FPS, whether you record in 720p or 1080p. That being said, switching over to the rear side, one advantage that Realme has is that when you turn on the ultra steady mode, it records that video in 1080p 60 FPS, which is a lot more smoother as compared to Poco's super steady mode, which records in 1080p 30 FPS. So yeah, a couple of things to keep in mind.
Alright, now I don't know why I did that. But anyway, moving on, let's talk about the performance aspect now. The POCO X5 Pro comes with the fan-beloved Qualcomm Snapdragon 778 processor coupled with UFS 2.2 storage. On the other hand, Realme comes with the MediaTek Dimensity 1080 processor coupled with UFS 2.2 storage. Now it's interesting to note that even though the Snapdragon 778 came out like a year or year and a half ago, and the Dimensity 1080 is supposedly a new processor, they're both based on the same 6nm architecture, so that's a good thing. And they both use UFS 2.2 storage, so it's pretty much a level playing field. And the same shows in the benchmarks as well. I mean, you can see the benchmarks on your screen, and in synthetic benchmarks, sure, Realme does have better single core performance, while Poco has better multi-core performance. That being said, both are pretty close to one another, and it's not a significant win for either. And the same can be said for gaming as well. They both support games at the same settings, which is a combo of medium and high, and the gaming performance is stable on both. And just to reiterate on that, neither of these devices is a gaming phone per se. Both the devices will heat up after a while. But personally, I feel that because of the slimness factor, Realme does tend to heat up a little bit faster as compared to the Poco. Again, it's not a significant win by any means, so don't take that much into account. As a normal gamer, you'd be fine with the performance of both the devices. For a dedicated gamer, let's be honest, neither of the devices are proper gaming devices. That being said, in comparison, Poco is a slightly better pick for gaming. Now, as far as day-to-day usage is concerned, both are great and snappy. And of course, adding on to the performance part is the software department. Now, Poco comes with MIUI 14 based on Android 12, while Realme comes with Realme UI 4.0 based on Android 13. Now, you might think that this is a win for Realme, but there's also the fact that Realme comes with a lot more bloatware here, while Poco comes with very minimal bloatware. Of course, both the things are uninstallable, but still, I would prefer having no bloatware right out of the box. Now, as far as stability is concerned, both the skins are quite stable. However, Realme's update schedule is slightly better here. That being said, for an end consumer, I would just say that pick the skin that you like more. They're both easy to adapt to, so don't let it be the deciding factor. But then being said, if you have to have a preference, MIUI definitely has a different look to it, has slightly more features here and there, whereas in comparison, Realme is leaning towards the stock Android experience with its own animations and color profiles and theming and extra features. So yeah. Lastly, we have the battery life. Both the devices come with the same 5000 mAh battery with support for same 67 watt charging, and both the devices come with charger included in the box. The battery life is also the same on both because the processors are equally power efficient, and even the skins are well optimized to give you a good amount of battery backup. So yeah, this is pretty much a tie in the battery department. Which brings us to the pricing. Now, the POCO X5 Pro is priced at Rs 23,000 for the 6 plus 128GB variant, while the 8 plus 256GB variant sells for 25,000. However, currently on the sale, you can get them for a respective price of 21,000 and 23,000. On the other hand, we have the Realme 10 Pro Plus, which sells at a starting price tag of Rs 25,000. So, which device is the right pick for you? Well, let's just analyze which device you should pick for their specific reasons. Now, you should go for the POCO X5 Pro if you want a slightly better performance, you like MIUI, you want a better entertainment package because it comes with Dolby Vision display and a 3.5 headphone jack, and you want a reliable camera, basically something that gives out consistent results. On the other hand, the Realme 10 Pro Plus is made for someone who wants a stylish design that's also easy to use and is quite ergonomic as well. You also get Realme UI here, which is quite close to the stock Android experience, and you of course get the latest Android version here as well. The camera is definitely superior in certain areas, especially the low light performance, but the HDR performance definitely has a lot of room for improvement. And well, that was it. So which device will you be buying? Let us know down in the comments below. But before you do that, if you like this video, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Ron from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.